So we're going to start talking about laying out a page using FlexBox. I'm actually going to create a new page here, and we'll just call this test.html. HTML:5 tab. We've got a document now, testing FlexBox. And we'll attach a style sheet, link tab, href equals new style.css. Make a new style.css. Okay, our new style.css is here. These are test, control tilde to get our integrated terminal. And then we have that, and we'll just do open this test.html. Right, there's our blank page. We're going to make a div. And let's give this a class equals. In fact, you know what? Let's make this main. We'll give this, so this is called semantic HTML. And there are certain tags that you'll see in HTML that describe what they are. It's like main and section and header. You see those in HTML, and I just want to introduce you to that. Not all of the tags are the traditional HTML tags. So we have main. This would be our main container that contains everything. So in our style.css, we want our main, I'm sorry, not our style.css, our new style.css. We're going to define main. This is not a class. It's just a tag. And so it's not an ID, it's not a class, it's just our main tag. And then we'll do it a width, 100 viewport width, and height, 100 viewport height. And then we'll do a background color of, we'll just use blanched almond because it's here. And I'm actually going to give this a border so you can see it. And see where it starts and where it ends. Now, if we refresh this page, what we're going to see is that you see we have the page, and the reason I put a border in is I want you to see the whites there, and on the top and on the side. You can see it even more if this is a another color. So it's not really fully flush to the edges, and the reason for that is that the body, by default, of our new test page here, the body comes with its own padding and margins and many default style sheets. So what we want to do is we want to override the defaults on the body. So body, we'll just say margin 0 pix and then padding 0 pix. Now save and rerun, and you see that there. Now it's flushed. Okay. Now our main, it was blanched almond before. I actually want to let's look at our wireframe. So in our wireframe, it's kind of white around here, so we didn't really define what would be around there. What would be nice is if this could be kind of a lighter color in the background, and then these are a little darker colors. And it's nice to go with earth tones, something warm and inviting that for food. So let's just start typing a hex value here. And when we hover over it in VS Code, you actually get the colors. So we can come over here and say we want that's actually it's nice. It's a little dark for to be the light color we were envisioning, but it's actually not bad. Let's make that, and then let's get rid of the border. There's our background. And so in front of the background, we're doing this in a test just so you can see how FlexBox works. So I do like this color, and we're going to use this color. We're going to put it into our main styles. But I want to talk a little bit about FlexBox. So what FlexBox is a way of laying out elements on a page. You have two axes. Your horizontal axis going across, and then your vertical axis going up and down. And the way it works is this. Let's say that we're going to just decide that this is of a display of flex. That means anything inside of it will be flexed according to either the vertical axis or the horizontal axis. And then I would say flex direction is rho. This means it will flex across. So now, if I have a div, so let's make a div and it's just called a box, right? Box is a width of 100 pixels, height of 100 pixels, background color of red, right? So in our test.html, inside of our main, we'll have a div who is a class of box. We have 3 of them. So when we save this and then we run this, these are all flexing across. Now, let's give the box a little bit more, let's give it border, 1 pixel, solid, white, and let's give it a margin of 5 pixels. So we can kind of really see that we've got flexed 3 boxes that have been flexed across. So in the main, we have flex, display is flex, and the flex direction is the row. But if we do flex direction of column, then they go in a column, which is vertical, right? Now, let's change it back to row. And let's say we'll have, let's take these 2 out. I want to show you something with just 1 box. We've got just 1 box here. Now, if we do justify content, justify content will align it along the axis of the flex direction. So since we're flexing in the row, justify content of center will flex it in the flex direction, the row direction. So we get it just like that. Now, there's another one that you can use, align items, which will flex it in whatever axis is perpendicular to the flex direction. So this will be the other direction. So when we do align items of center, then since our main is 100 width and 100 height, it takes up the whole screen. Then when we align items to center, and then refresh this, then we've got it perfectly centered. And no matter how much you resize your page, you got a perfectly centered item. This was actually a little more complicated to do before we started using FlexBox. You had to do some tricks to make sure that things were vertically aligned or aligned in a different axis than the main alignment. But this makes it a lot easier, right? So then if we had these 3 again, then when you refresh it, they're all aligned, justified content. So they're centered on the main axis, which is our row. And then they're also align items on the perpendicular axis, which is the column. Right. So you can do these, you can do lots of things like that. Like the other things, like for, let's say justify content instead of center, we want to do at the top, we could do justify content, we could do flex start. When we do that, it'll be at the start of the flex. And the same thing, we could do that with here, flex start. So now this is at that start. Or we could do flex end for align items, and then that'll be the flex end will be, since we're aligning them on the perpendicular axis, it's that. So you can really play around with these different settings. This really gives you a lot of control in terms of laying things out and whatever. Justify content. There's another one, space between. You see how that does? So it gives them all the same amount of space between. There's also space evenly. A lot of times you can just, after you do justify content and colon or any of the commands, you can see the different, some of the different options that you have there. And space around, right? So they have they all have all the same amount of space around them. So part of this is understanding the English that's represented by these words, or you can always do a FlexBox cheat sheet. So if you Google FlexBox cheat sheet, you can find a lot of these commands by any of these resources that you have there. Sometimes Googling something just requires knowing what you're Googling, just having the vocabulary words to find what you want. So these are kind of the basics of Flexbox layout. So now that we have some of the basics in place, we're going to then apply these to our Paco website so that we can start designing something that looks like this.